Hi, welcome to Spektral Evidence. Tonight we have author, entertainer, performer, Tony Gangi, author of Carny Sideshows. Thanks for being here.
Yes. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Right out of the gate, I got to ask this question. What the hell is wrong with you? You give up a job publishing?
Publishing, and I was in publishing in the book business for a long time.
To sticking items in your head?
It wasn't directly. It wasn't a direct route. It wasn't it didn't go from A to B to C. I kind of took a back way. I was in publishing for a while. Then I worked with Barnes & Noble for a while. And then I was doing magic. I always did magic as a hobby. And started a magic business in New York where I was doing assembly shows, that type of thing for kids. And we decided to move to Massachusetts, my wife and family up to Massachusetts. And I said to her, I said, you know, I had tried to go to Sideshow school a few times. And the waiver that they make you sign to hold harmless kind of turned her off a little. I don't know why. So when we were deciding to move to Massachusetts, she basically, you know, I said to her, if we move and I want to do it, I'm going to have to pay for a hotel room. Why don't I do it before we move? So I went to Sideshow school and just really fell in love with it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you know before you went to Sideshow school that you had the ability to stick items in your nose and?
Absolutely not. No.
So that was.
So no. Other than my fingers, no.
But was there like a curriculum you could choose from, or?
No, absolutely not. Sideshow school is a great place. I was in, I believe, one of Todd Robbins' last classes. Todd Robbins is a great guy, terrific teacher, great mentor. And basically it's 5 days, 6 hours a day, and you learn a variety of skills from the basics of sword swallowing, fire eating, fire breathing, the human blockhead, all these skills that were very, very old skills that became Sideshow staples under P.T. Barnum.
So you went through all those different...
Mm-hmm. Walking on broken glass.
What made you settle with the human blockhead?
Human blockhead, I kind of fell into very quickly. When I first came home with the desire to do it, my wife was really turned off. But she had just recently started using a neti pot. Now, I don't know if you know what a neti pot is. A neti pot is looks like a little genie lamp. They sell them at CVS, and basically you fill it up, and it basically cleans out your sinuses. Mm-hmm. You pour it up one nostril, and it comes out the other. And seeing her do that, I figured, you know, how hard can it be? And in Sideshow school, you know, you start with the basics there, but, you know, you got to go home and work on this stuff. So I fell into it very easily, and it's something I enjoyed doing.
I got to say, you look very normal.
And that's my plan. That's my plan.
Were you, you know, when you went into the school, was there a lot of unusual characters around you?
You know, I went to, you know, they do 2 courses. Basically, they'll do Monday through Friday, 6 hours a day. Or if you work, they'll do it once a week, every night, like every Tuesday for 5 weeks. So, so when I went for the, you know, 6 hours a day for 5 days in a row. So there were only 6 or 7 of us. It was a real small class. You know, with the Sideshow, you get a lot, you do get a lot of colorful characters. I am definitely choosing a certain path because I want myself to be as accessible to people as possible. No offense to somebody with piercings or tattoos, but if you go into certain places, you're already off-putting certain members of the audience.
Right.
So, you know, and this is really off-putting. Some of this stuff is really off-putting. So I want to be able to get in as easily as possible and make myself as accessible as possible to my audience. And so they can enjoy, to some degree, what I'm doing.
Now, in your book,
Rubbish.
no, it's actually a very good book, and it's a fascinating read. I loved it. It was
Thanks.
really good.
Thank you.
But you have pictures in here, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick some of these up. But this is a guy lifting up things with his eyes.
Martin Ling, the Suicide King out of Philadelphia. Yeah, great guy.
Now, was that part of the training?
That is not. That would be something that you would learn as you get further into sideshow skills and meeting other mentors.
It just, I mean, it's amazing stuff. It really is.
Does it hurt the first time you did it? Did it hurt? I mean, it looks
Everything
like
hurts.
the first time.
Everything hurts. Everything hurts. I had a press person, I guess about a year ago, ask me, do you have just a low tolerance for pain? I said, no, I feel pain. Believe me, I feel pain. But yeah, everything hurts. I think the worst part is the anticipation for me. I've always been the type of person, I remember when I was a kid where, you know, my parents sent me for swimming lessons because they thought I was afraid of the water. But it wasn't that I was afraid of the water. I was afraid of that moment where, like, the cold hits you. You know, it's that anticipation. We have a pool now, and during the summertime, you know, it'll be, you know, it's not a heated pool, so it's, you know, rather chilly. So it's like that moment where you just should just jump in and get it over with, like ripping a Band-Aid off. So it's not, you know, certainly everything hurts, but the anticipation of the pain is much worse for me.
Is there an amount of times that you can do it and not do it?
Such as?
Well, the amount, you know, how many times can you insert it and without it?
You know, no, I don't think there are. I've done it over and over and over and over and over again. With the mouse traps, it's a little different. Gwyd the Unusual, I believe, holds the record for the most number of mouse traps on his tongue within a minute, which was something like 19 or 20. I'm not going for that, that record. I'll let him keep that. But, you know, it's something that's another thing that I kind of like enjoy doing is the mouse trap on the tongue.
And I see that you brought some mouse traps with you.
I did. Yeah, we can show you some stuff. That definitely.
And I do have to say that I saw him take those out of the package. Those are not doctored or messed around with at all. He unwrapped them.
I literally, you know, I didn't have any more at home. About a month ago, I went into to the local hardware store and bought 20 packs of these things, and they were like, "Do you have a barn? What's going on there? You must have some serious problems." And I said, "No," and I cracked the pack open. I said, "No, this is what I do with them." I snapped one right on my tongue right there.
Harry's going to do one with you.
Okay, well, excellent. That'll be great.
How did you do it?
Look at
Put it on your nose.
you do the mouse trap. I'll do the animal trap with him.
No. Hey, I barely talk as
This
it
is where we find out who the real men are.
Hey, I'd do it.
Did you do it?
So, what got you to have the love of the sideshow?
You know, I remember when I was a kid going to a circus, and there was a sideshow there, and there was, you know, there's always, you know, on the valley, which is the area in front of the sideshow, where they gather the crowd. There was a gentleman eating razor blades on the stage, and it definitely is a really strong memory for me. And my father wouldn't let us go in. He wouldn't, you know, we were going to the circus, we weren't going to do the sideshow, that was extra money, and certainly nothing that, you know, he wanted me to see. And I remember seeing in the flap because the sideshow, it just keeps going. It's a grind. You know, it's just one show after another after another. If you walk in to the middle of a show, you just stay until the middle of the show again. So, so I was able to see inside the flap and see somebody lying on a bed of nails and getting a concrete block broken on their chest.
All right, you have a picture of that in your book. You're
Yes.
holding up, you have a bed of nails.
Yes.
Was it on your book or did I see it online?
No, you saw it online.
Did I see
You
it
saw
online?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you do that too?
Yes.
You do the cinder block?
I haven't done a cinder block. Nobody really wants to see me with my shirt off. I don't, you know, but I haven't done a cinder block yet.
You and Harry get a lot in common? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Hey, a lot of people are attracted to the Michelin Man. So, and yeah, dick.
You did it.
Bed of nails. Is that something that you do part of? I mean,
You know, I would much rather walk on broken glass or put my face in broken glass before doing bed of nails, only because it's so difficult to carry around.
yeah.
It's so difficult to carry around. I mean, there's a lot of weight there. However, it was the first thing that I really researched when I started doing the book, because it interests me, coming from a magic background, it interests me like the science behind a lot of things. Because a lot of magic, there's certain science behind it. But certainly with the sideshow skills especially, there's a lot of science behind it. So I actually interviewed a professor of physics about what makes the bed of nails possible. It's, you know, the force and the pressure and the weight being distributed over certain numbers of nails. You get less and less nails, and the more risk there is of getting hurt. So yeah, I've done bed of nails many times.
Did you make it yourself or you actually buy it?
Yeah, no, I made it myself. I made it myself. It's a labor of love.
Now, all right, speaking of the science of it, is there a certain amount of nails per, I mean, is there like a mathematical?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. You want, the more nails, the safer it is.
Right.
The more nails, the safer it is. If you took, let's talk about a balloon, for example. If you took a balloon and took one pin and popped it, it would pop.
Right.
But if you took a sheet with maybe like, I don't know, 100 pins, you could probably press that right against that balloon and not pop it, because it's spreading out over it.
And you said the glass walk and
Glass
sticking your
walking.
face in glass. Did you say lava walk earlier?
No.
You didn't do the fire walk?
No, I've never done fire walking. A friend of mine, Roderick Russell, who is also a sword swallower, actually does fire walking. But I've never done fire walking. I haven't had an opportunity to. I would certainly try.
I'd like to try that.
I would, you know. Coal walking, hot coals, yeah.
All right, so what you're saying on TV right now is this summer, if I get you the venue to do it, you'll come and do it with Harry.
I
I'd
would,
do it.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, don't even tempt me.
I'd do it.
I will
Without a
light you
doubt.
on fire.
Without a doubt.
So how difficult is the glass?
Glass walking, you know, everything has its challenges, and
Right.
everything has its, you know, risks. Because there's definitely risk in all of this. I mean, it's all real. I mean, I think that's the difference between the magic and the sideshow. It's strange, they kind of go together. You know, you get a lot of magicians with an interest in the sideshow, but certainly, yeah, there's definite difference. But, you know, what was even better than a magic trick and deception was finding out that with the sideshow that what I say I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do. And it was just so liberating. There was no dirty work. I could actually, you know, tell the audience this is what I'm doing, rather than trying to deceive them. I can actually sit them down and say, hey, listen, you know, there are these skills that have existed for hundreds of years, and there's very few people doing them these days. The first blockhead routine I came up with has to do with this tiny little sword I have here. This tiny little sword has a great story behind it. This was forged by Nippolini out of Philadelphia. Nippolini is a sideshow performer himself. He pulls things with his nipples. But he is also a blacksmith. So what he does is he forges these beautiful tiny swords, and it's just the most comfortable thing in the world going into your head. And I can feel that, like, right towards the back of my head. Want to put that for? Thank you. I think I lost my mind. Who are doing the human blockhead usually do it with the hammer and the nail. And what I do is I kind of do a sucker version of it, and what I do is I come out and I say, I'm going to swallow a sword, and I go through it like I was getting ready to swallow a sword, and this is what I come out with. Which brings me to the fact that, you know, by the end of this routine, I've pretty much cheated my audience out of not seeing a sword swallow. So, so for the better part of 2 years, I've been trying to swallow a sword. And this week, I'll be going down to Ripley's, believe it or not, for World Sword Swallowers Day for the first time, because I'm finally able to get something down. So I can actually complete the audience's, you know, emotional roller coaster ride, in that, you know, they're getting cheated at the end, but at the beginning, but by the end of the act, by the end of the routine, I'll be able to do a sword swallow for them to make it satisfying.
So have you ever really like, grossed somebody out to the point they're going to pass out from doing this?
Let me think, because I'm sure there is. Yeah, there. You know, right after the book came out, I was at a Barnes and Noble, and there was a woman there. And when I did the human blockhead, it definitely grossed her out. Yeah.
Now, I noticed that when you had that in your nose, you could turn your head and everything. In that, you don't feel that like moving around, or I mean.
You know, with nails, if you're using a nail, nails are not comfortable. But you know, these things are just so beautifully made and so smooth. Not that they're not dangerous, but you do definitely feel it in the back of your head. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when you do sword swallowing, how far does it really go down? Let's just take, you know, you're still learning the sword swallowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take someone who's an accomplished sword swallower. I mean,
how far actually
does
down?
It go down? I mean, does your body allow that?
Definitely into the stomach. You're definitely going into the stomach.
Really?
Which, you know, not comfortable. But yeah, you can get, you know, certainly people like Heather Holliday, out of who's with the Pretty Things Peep Show, Natasha Verushka out of New York, who is a great neon swallower. She swallows neon.
I've actually seen that.
Yeah, and that's ultra dangerous. That's ultra dangerous because, you know, there's a real risk there of the neon breaking inside you. And then what happens is, you know, it just tears you up inside. There's a lot of risk behind sword swallowing. There's a lot of risk, and it's very dangerous, very dangerous. And I guess the danger really is in proportion to the length of time it really takes learn the skill, because it took me a long time. It took me a long time. Better part of a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, what year was it that you actually went to the sideshow school?
2008.
2008.
So I probably started then. I was, you know, it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of consistency to learn. I started then, did it on and off, where an organization had actually hired me to sort. I was really close, but then they decided they didn't want to pay me. So I was like, you know, let me put this on the back burner, because I'm not going to go down for free. But you know, I was very close at that point. Then the consistency kind of went away, and then I came back to it again. I got a mentor. I have another mentor in Pennsylvania, Harley Newman, and he's just a fantastic sword swallower. He's a great guy.
Okay, so now fast forward to present day. You have Lydia's Carnival Sideshow.
Yep.
Traveling troupe, I guess you would call it?
Yeah, we do shows where we can find them. We were doing shows out of Salem, Massachusetts for, I'd say, 6 or 7 months. Standing room only during months when nobody else could ever really get anybody in. Most shows feed off the tourist trade during September, October. And most shows will not attempt to get anybody in during those months of January, February, March, because there's no tourist trade to speak of in Salem at that point. But I was up for the challenge, and you know, a lot of people told me it couldn't be done. And we started January of last year. January, February, March, and April, we had sold out shows, standing room only. So, I think, you know, if you present things correctly and you put on a good show, that's really all people are looking for. We were able to get locals in, and nobody has ever been able to do that in Salem.
So what do you do with the larger animal trap? Is that on your tongue?
Well, let's, yeah, we can probably start with the mouse traps. The mouse traps are usually what I start with, and you know, I'm not going into any of the presentations that I normally do here, because, you know, this is a little more casual. But the mouse traps are Victor mouse traps, and these are just normal mouse traps. Like I said,
Are you sponsored?
I'm sorry?
Are you sponsored by them?
should, you know, I should really get.
Well, you just went into it. This is Victor. And
This is Victor Mousetraps. If Victor Mousetraps sees this, if they could send me a case of these, that would be great. You know, like I said, I literally just bought these from the hardware store on the way over, and this was difficult to do. The mousetrap was tough because of that anticipation element, because there's definitely an anticipation element here.
So how long did it take you for your first try?
Probably a full afternoon, 4 hours. 4 hours before, you know, it's real. There you go. There you go. Probably about 4 hours. I sat there. I would set it off with a pen or something, and I'd set it again, and I just kept going back and forth with it. And the worst part about it, that day that I first did it, the worst part about it was the fact that what you do is you put your tongue into this little crevasse right here. And this little piece of metal, once it's hit, that causes the trap to snap shut. Well, as I discovered, I can actually, if I'm real gentle, like lick that piece of metal there, and it won't go off, which makes the anticipation all the more worse, because you've got your tongue in there and you don't know if it's going to go off or not. So, so it is. It's a thing of anticipation, horrible anticipation, and a lot of times when I do this, like I said, I have a whole presentation for it. But when I'm not doing the presentation, a lot of times, you know, I'll get close to the face, and people will be like, "Geez, just get it over with." Or,
I know you're killing me just talking
right?
about it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. But here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you pull it.
Just pull it straight out.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty.
And that's the mouse trap. Now I'd like some water. Yeah, let me get some water. But yeah, I mean, you know, you're moving towards the face, and just that just makes people cringe, you know?
So there is no secret to that. You are just taking the hit, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just building up the tolerance,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
straight out, huh?
Not even tolerance. I mean, yeah, it hurts every time I do it. It hurts every time I do it.
It hurt me.
Now, what's interesting is the way I started thinking about presentation, because presentation is really important with all this stuff. I mean, I could come out to stick the mousetrap on my tongue and that's it. So when I started working on something for the mousetrap, what I discovered was, you know, magicians have this very, you know, your worst magicians. They do these horrible things like, you know, you get your cliched magician and they'll come into the room and they'll try and hit on your girlfriend or your wife, and they will, they'll, you know, do all these atrocious things. They'll try and humiliate you and make you look horrible, and I never wanted to do that, not as a magician. But what I discovered when I started creating a routine for the mousetrap was that I could make somebody look like a fool. So I have a hand crank street organ, which I usually start my routine with, and the hand crank street organ, you know, you usually see a street organ with a monkey. So I don't have a monkey, so I have an audience member. Yeah. I have an audience member come up, and I turn them into the monkey, and it really is awfully, awfully humiliating to a degree.
Is it?
But then I end up putting the mousetrap on my tongue and letting them pull it off. And it sort of equivocates everything, you know? I've made them look bad, but now it's all okay because now I'm hurting myself and they can yank it off. And it kind of balances out. And it balances out.
I got to tell you, just pulling off your tongue, I was nervous doing that. I was nervous. It's a little...
disconcerting. It is.
Yeah.
It's disconcerting. You know, I've always thought about, you know, the old Saturday Night Live skit with Dan Aykroyd as Julia Childs, and he's like cutting into his thumb, and blood is spraying everywhere. And you know, if I was to ever improve on this, I'd love to find a way to make it snap on my tongue and blood squirt out everywhere, just as a joke, but. That's the mousetrap.
I got nothing to say.
Which brought us to the animal trap. The animal trap is definitely bigger. Let me see here. So the way these are set. So this is a set animal trap. Animal traps are, you know, they're pretty inhumane. Long history of inhumanity. This one does not have teeth, you'll notice, and the reason for that is I think it's supposed to be I don't know. I think it's either more inhumane or more humane. I'm not sure, but in any case, if it was any trap that's like snapped on the leg of an animal, it's going to be dangerous and not good for the animal. But you know, with the animal trap, it's a little different. You know, it's much different from the mouse trap, because the mouse trap, yeah, you're snapping it on a very delicate part of your body, but the animal trap, and you know, there are dangers of snapping a mouse trap on your tongue. You know, certainly you could break your teeth. you could like rip your lip, that sort of thing. Excuse me. But with the animal trap, yeah, you're looking at broken fingers. So it is. It's extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous if not done correctly. So let's see if I can do this. I did this a couple times when I first started doing it, and really, you know, it's the pinky, you know, gets really bruised. Okay, here we go. And the other thing to keep in mind is the tetanus.
I knew you were going to do that. You're killing me here.
You've got a lot of rust here. Here we go.
But you are up to date with your shots.
I don't know. Insurance, shots, we don't want to think about.
We were just handed a pencil.
Oh, you were just handed a pencil. Let's see if...
This just handed to me.
Here we go. I found a roger. See if this works. It is a little rusty, so I'm not sure if yeah, it's just, yeah. So that's you know, that's what can be done to, you know.
You're gonna pass out, right?
No, I'm not going to pass out. It's just the anticipation.
Okay, Mike, what you're going to do is you're going to step on that for me. Oh, thank you. And that's the animal trap. So you have animal traps, you have, you know, mouse traps, you have the human blockhead. So let me get that final thing out of the way, and that being the sword swallowing, and then we can shot some more. Stainless steel rod. You know, I like this because it you know, you've got a lot of, again, we'll go back to magicians. A lot of magicians out there buying collapsible swords and pretending they're sword swallowers, which is really an insult to sword swallowers because, you know, here they are risking their lives and these people are just, you know, charlatans trying to do this.
Definitely lube up.
So I've been swallowing for about 3 weeks now. It's not pretty yet. It really isn't. It's not pretty yet at all. But like I said, I'm going down for World Sword Swallowers Day at Ripley's, believe it or not, in Times Square, so that should be fun.
I wanted to gag so bad.
Now, interesting segue.
Don't try this at home.
No, don't try any of this at home.
Or at least
Don't
call
try
us
any of
first.
this. Kids, don't try this at home.
You're killing me.
That's okay.
Come on. Come on.
No, I'm good with that too. No. Feel the warmth, feel the love. You know what the most amazing thing is, really? After you do that, after you've done the mouse trap, the animal trap, you just sit down and talk like nothing happened. Oh yeah, did I tell you this would happen today?
It's a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's just like, I'd be like,
Well, that's why I'm not going, like, for this, I'm not going for any records because let's talk.
There's no difference in your voice or anything. I mean, it's just.
See, it's funny. I certainly with the mouse traps, sometimes I can definitely hear and certainly feel. If I do that 3 or 4 times in a row during the day, it'll swell up a little bit.
A little numb on the tongue.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But it's all about keeping the sideshow alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is. That made custom yourself?
This is actually, and what's interesting is I wiped it with the alcohol wipe. Grab the end of it.
Yep.
Okay. Feel it. Does it feel warm to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just grab, put it all through it. I mean, like really grab the end.
Okay, you ready?
No, just grab the end there. Feel how warm it is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's from my insides.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. But this is, this is just something that my mentor, luckily, started it, and I finished it off, cleaning it up. It's stainless steel, and yeah.
Do you, when you're starting off, do you start off with a skinnier one and work your way wider, or is it matter?
There's a number of different ways you can do it. But I've been working with this one almost primarily. Yeah. And my next segue is right over to a dagger, which once I've gotten this like fluid, I'll work on a dagger next.
Now, how far did you actually get that down?
I've gotten this 15 inches. 15 inches down, yeah. I'm just shy of the stomach. So that's next.
That is incredible. So once you master that, what's your next?
What else do I want to do? In terms of sword swallowing?
Well, no. Well, once you master
anything different?
Obviously you've mastered the nose. Now you're mastering the sword swallowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I really want to get sword swallowing down. And there are a number of things I want to do with sword swallowing. But yeah, that's an excellent question. I've got the walking on broken glass, which I enjoy, but I don't do enough of. But it's a lighter alternative to the bed of nails, and it's interesting because you see, the glass walkers that are out there. I've seen some glass walkers, and they'll bring out this great pile of glass. They'll walk on it, and then they'll cut themselves. And they'll say, that shows that it's authentic. I'm sorry, if you're walking on broken glass, you shouldn't be getting hurt if you know how to do it correctly. So I really, I feel like these skills, not enough people see them. And I really do want to hopefully bring them to a wider audience that, can appreciate them in ways that, people like that can't appreciate them right now because, so many people are presenting this stuff in such an off-putting way. Mm-hmm. Given the history, you had in the 90s, Jim Rose really brought the sideshow back. Mm-hmm. I mean, he brought it back from the brink because, he put his show together, the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow, and, it was hooked up with, I think, Lollapalooza or one of those festivals for a long time. And that was really shock and awe. I mean, it really was shock and awe, the stuff he was doing. Hooks in the skin and that sort of thing. But the traditional acts, the mainstays, sword swallowing, human blockhead, mouse traps and animal traps and all that good stuff, and bed of nails and walking on broken glass, these staples, these staple working acts that have always existed in the sideshow, sometimes get lost in all the shock and awe. And I think bringing them to people that haven't had a chance to see them would be a great thing.
Okay, now here's something. Is it true that your wife made you promise that you couldn't eat a light bulb?
Yes, that's absolutely true, because that's Russian roulette.
You never wanted to sneak it around and just be like, I just want to try this one.
No. Todd Robbins, my teacher at Sideshow School, he put it to me this way. He said, when I was 13, I learned to eat a light bulb. And the man who taught me said, come over Wednesday and here's how you prepare. Come over Wednesday and I will show you how to eat a light bulb, show you how to eat glass. And so Todd did all the preparation necessary, went over, and he said, okay, here's a piece of glass, chew it up, put it in, chewed it up. You bleeding? No, I'm not bleeding. You chewed it up enough? Yeah. Swallow, okay. You're definitely not bleeding? No. All right, come back next week. If you're still alive, then we'll eat another piece. And that is glass eating. It's extremely dangerous, extremely dangerous. So that is the one thing my wife, kind of made me promise that. And if I move along in sword swallowing, that I'll never put a neon bulb down my throat. So yeah, there are boundaries there. There are boundaries there. A marriage has to have boundaries.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so that is that's the one thing I'm not allowed to do. Nor do I want to. I mean, Todd Robbins again. He just finished up a little bit ago an off-Broadway show called Play Dead, where he was doing 7 shows or 8 shows a week. And at the beginning of every show, he was eating a light bulb. Every show, it's 8 light bulbs a week at the very least. And like I said, it's like Russian roulette. So very dangerous, very dangerous. But all of it is. All of it is.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, it's these are things that have been around for a long time, since before P.T. Barnum. But it was P.T. Barnum that really just kind of brought it all together under one tent. And there's been an ebb and flow to the sideshow over the years, where it was with P.T. Barnum, and then there was the circus sideshow where it was always attached to a circus. Mm-hmm. Then it was the carnival sideshow, where it was attached to the carnivals. Then it sort of died away, and because carnivals change. You used to go to the carnival, and you'd pay for everything. But eventually, carnivals changed in that there was one price to pay for everything. So there was really no need for things like the sideshow where you would pay extra. So then it died away a little bit. And then you had people like Jim Rose bringing it back, and then it died away a little bit more. And then now you've got a variety of different people performing this stuff. You've got the handful of real sideshows still traveling. Ward Hall runs one. Jim Zychak runs one. These sideshows that kind of travel around seasonally, but there are very few of those. Then you've got people who are like myself, like the Cheeky Monkey Sideshow down in Washington, the Old City Sideshow in Philadelphia, any number of those, where these are people who are bringing this stuff to different venues like clubs, performance spaces. They're trying to think outside the box and how we can present this stuff in a fun and meaningful way, mm-hmm. sometimes, other than just entertaining. As I've discovered, there's also this other, this last group where there's in the sideshow, there's always been a certain degree of you've got to earn what you learn. I've worked hard with mentors You know, I don't think I come by my learning completely free, you know. But there's there's certainly a wide group there where they think these skills are just very easy to learn. I'll go out and I'll figure it out over an afternoon and trial and error. And now I'm a sideshow person, you know. I, to this day, do not consider myself a sideshow person, a sideshow man. Ward Hall, in the beginning of the book, I quote Ward Hall, who says, you know, a sideshow man is a man who, you know, spends like, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, spends like, you know, he's the one that's there when like the little person's husband dies, and he's got to, you know, be there by her side. Sideshow man is somebody who, you know, is living and breathing the sideshow every day on the road, trying to bring this to different people. And to this day, you know, I can do all this stuff, but I still don't consider myself a sideshow man.
You're writing another book too, aren't you?
You know, playing with the idea, we have it out there. We were going to do something about the haunt industry, my friend and I. So it's with my agent now, so we'll see if that happens. Knock wood, we'll see.
Do you have any upcoming events you're going to be at?
Actually, just Ripley's right now. Just
Ripley's.
That's the only thing I've been focusing on right now, is really, you know, the sword swallowing and getting down to Ripley's for World Sword Swallowers Day, which should be a lot of fun. World Sword Swallowers Day is every Ripley's in the world celebrates World Sword Swallowers Day by having all the sword swallowers at every Ripley's location drop their swords at the same time at 2:25. So it should be a lot of fun. There's probably about 30 or 40 sword swallowers participating in this around the world. And there's very few of them. I mean, there's only a few dozen sword swallowers in the world.
Wow.
So I'm one of out of every 250 million, there's one sword swallower out of 7 billion people in the world. So, you know, there's very few of us. Yeah, I put together Lydia's Carnival Sideshow. We can be hired. There's a mind reader, a juggler, an escape artist, a hula hooper. So we can be hired, or I actually go out and do this stuff all by myself as well, solo. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I make it palatable and fun for the audience. So that's the key and the goal. Is, you know, everybody wants to have fun. So, you know, TonyGangi.com, TonyGangi.com, or Lydia'sCarnivalSideshow.com. That's, you know, you can get to either site with the other site. So, all my information is there, and yeah, a variety of different people have hired me and Lydia's over the past year or so. I'll do everything from, you know, anniversary parties and birthday parties to corporate events and other things. So, you know, it's, again, you know, it's all about having fun and keeping the sideshow alive.
Nikki's birthday party, come on. Huh?
Oh, you know it. I'm going to hire you for my kid's birthday party.
How old?
He'll be 5.
Oh, absolutely. I'll breathe fire.
All right.
As a rule, you know, and that's the other thing, you know, your magicians say, oh, you can't do anything with fire for kids, and you know, it's kind of true, but you know, that's the old joke. I'm going to be teaching a magic class for 5-year-olds this month. I'm going to teach them how to swallow swords as well. But
And you also have videos on YouTube. Am I right?
yes, I do. I do.
So they can look those up too.
Yeah, I had started something called Monday Mornings on the Midway. So those are on YouTube, yeah. And I was just playing with those. You know, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of play with the presentation, so that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in that I was, you know, dressed in your typical, you know, the red vest and the top hat and all that. But I prefer the Edward Monk tie. I think it goes well with the sideshow stuff. So.
Best one so far.
Without a doubt,
Best one?
This has been my favorite episode.
Absolutely.
You say that every episode.
Nope.
No.
Any show that
But
can,
we mean it this time.
But we really mean it this time. You say that to all the times.
I
Just to see his face, it was priceless.
it's pretty bad when you're doing it and I'm dry heaving. You know what I mean? Or gagging.
So it means you've done it well.
Well, Tony, I want to thank you for coming on tonight.
My pleasure.
This by far has been my absolute favorite show so far.
I-
Seriously. I think what you do is amazing.
Thank you.
Just the mousetrap alone on the tongue, that shows your dedication right there. Oh, you don't have to.
But it's fun. That's the thing.
All right, come on, Harry. Grab the other one.
I know.
Come on.
I'll give you $1.
No.
You're just going to hold up the book again, aren't you?
I'll hold up the book.
Hold up the book again. This sword right here. And this really isn't sword swallowing. It's something better known as the human blockhead.